Hello, beautiful people. This is the Gumbo for the Soul podcast. This podcast was inspired by my series, which is called Gumbo for the Soul Cookbook. There's an adult version. The adult version is subtitled Faith, Affirmations, and Food. And I also have a version for children. It's called Gumbo for the Soul Children's Cookbook. There's affirmations in that book as well. I just found out some exciting news. I just found out that my books are now available on barnesandnoble.com. They are available on booksamillion.com, and they are also available on walmart.com, in addition to being on Amazon. That was pretty exciting when I found that out. So you can order my cookbooks on Amazon. You can order them from Barnes and Noble. You can order them from Books a Million, or you can order them from Walmart.com. Books a Million used to be my favorite place, or it was one of my happy places. It still is one of my happy places to go. I read a lot of books when I was growing up. Thing I enjoyed about reading was that I literally could travel all over the world from inside my bedroom. They used to have the little reading competitions in school, and just about every year I ended up reading like the most books and getting the most points, and getting that big prize. But it wasn't really about competition for me. I really did enjoy reading, and I enjoyed, receiving a reward for the fact that I love reading. A lot of times, they would give us those little coupons. You get like a little personal pan pizza from Pizza Hut, different things like that. I know one year I won, I think it was $50, and I used that $50 when we went to Astro World one year on a vacation. So I always enjoyed reading. So it's only natural that I ended up, writing, because I love writing as well. Um, the subtitle for my adult cookbooks is called Affirmations, Faith, and Food. I touched a little bit on, we've already talked about, how I use affirmations on a daily basis. We also talked about, how to maintain your faith during difficult times. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about the food side of things. Okay, so with the kitchen being my happy place, the reason why the kitchen is my happy place is because I have a lot of fond memories, of being in the kitchen with my mother slash grandmother that raised me. She never really used any measurement. She just basically let God let God guide her hands when she was seasoning things and putting dishes together. Whenever I started cooking, I believe I was about 11 or 12 when she turned me, loose, or let me make like my first dish in the kitchen by myself. She was there, to supervise everything, but that was literally like the first time I made anything. And I do believe one of the first things I made was the cake, and it was called a socket to me cake. That recipe is also found in my cookbook. And in my cookbooks, I talk a lot about, the memories that are associated with the different recipes that I created. So the kitchen became my happy place because a lot of times it was just me and my mom in the kitchen. And although, with her being she was a preacher's wife for over 50 years. My dad recently passed on March 21st. They were together for over 50 years, and she was a preacher's wife for over 50 years as well. A lot of times while we were in the kitchen, I can remember as early as being like 5 or 6, she would get me to pass her things. So that is why I allow my 4-year-old to help me in the kitchen, because there's different activities that a child can do, in the kitchen. I would pass her, a bowl or a pot, or a pan, pass her different ingredients. I would pass her different utensils, a spoon, spatula, different things like that. I learned from her actually even while growing up, we always cleaned as we cooked. We never just let the dishes pile up. We always cleaned as we cooked. So nothing ever. So by the time we finished cooking, the kitchen was clean. I actually took that into my work ethic. My first job was at KFC when I was 16, and my boss lady, Miss Easterwhite, she had a saying. She said, "If you can lean, you can clean." So she always had us, wiping things down, cleaning things, organizing things, different things like that. But I mean, I had already been doing that at home, so it wasn't a big deal to me when I was, got that first job. But back to the kitchen being my happy place. So as I was, learning these different recipes and helping my mom cook whatever she was cooking, she would always receive, phone calls, or we would have company come by. And like I said in my cookbook, she was a counselor of sorts. With her being a preacher's wife, a lot of people call her, for advice. They wanted her spiritual wisdom. Now, whether they listen to her or not, that's a different story. But they would always call her, and ask her, different questions, about relationships and different things. And her and my dad were also marriage counselors too. They did marriage counseling as well. So I learned a lot, from the different things she would say to people. A lot of times, most of her advice involved using a scripture, to help solve your problem, and I still do that to this day. If I can't remember where the verse is, I will literally, now we have Google, so we can just Google whatever we want on the internet. But in the kitchen being my happy place, there's also part of the kitchen being my happy place that I have to be careful. I have to be careful that while I'm in the kitchen, and the kitchen is my happy place. So of course that involves food. I have to be careful to make sure that I'm not emotionally eating. I've been guilty of that um, during my adulthood. I've been guilty of that, being an emotional eater. I know a lot of people can relate. I mean, I don't drink, I don't smoke. My outlet, has been food basically. Anytime I'm stressed or anxious about something, I find myself, I'll go in the kitchen and I'll make something. Now, sometimes, when you make a large meal, or when you're cooking large dinners, or making large dishes, it kind of takes your appetite away. Like if I'm cooking a lot of food for a lot of people, sometimes I can't even eat like a full plate. Because it's like the sight of a lot of food, it kind of overwhelms me. And I really don't eat a lot when I do eat. But I have to be careful that I am eating to live and not just living to eat. I have to be careful what I put in my body. Because during my self reflection, you know, and during when I'm praying, I'm asking God, to help me do this, help me do that. Um, a scripture that I remember, it talks about your body being your temple. So if my body is my temple, I need to take care of my temple. I know God made my temple, and I'm happy with myself, and I love myself. Um, and there's also verses in the Bible, that it tells you, everything that God made was good. A lot of times, I've heard that a lot, um, used to say that, we can eat anything because everything that He created was good. So you know, on this journey that I've been on, and from some of the knowledge and the research that I've done, that has prompted me to not eat certain things. And that's only because I found that some things that I eat are not healthy for me. Everybody, is unique. Every one of us are individuals, and God created all of us, in His own image and everything. With that being said, we all have different metabolisms. You know, everybody breaks down, different things. Um, basically, we all have different body types, and we all, you know, our bodies require us to be in a constant state of homeostasis. So we have to be constantly balanced. And if we're imbalanced, it's gonna affect everything. It affects, your emotions. It affects your thoughts. It affects your actions, and it affects how physical you can be. So I'm not trying to tell anybody, how to eat, what to eat. The only thing that I would say is that you have to do what works for you and make sure that you are healthy. Uh, One of the things that I did, I'll say back in 2017, is I went on a healthy food journey. So basically, I just started looking at food as something that I needed to live. I stopped living to eat, and I started eating to live. So I totally and completely changed my eating habits. I cut out, all red meat. I was already not eating pork anyway. And the only reason why I don't eat pork, it has nothing to do with anybody's religion or thoughts or anything. I watched a documentary on Netflix, and I've also seen a lot of videos in my research, and I saw how they process meat. That's any meat. That's pork, beef, chicken. I just started realizing how they process the different meats that we eat. Whether it's processed meat, whether it's, like I said, chicken, beef, sausages, any of that. I mean, my whole entire childhood growing up, we always barbecue, and we always had some version or form of pork in our refrigerator, in our freezer. I grew up eating bologna sandwiches, spam sandwiches, hot dogs. We grilled everything on the grill. When you grill your sausages, you have to grill them just right. They got to be a little burnt. Same thing with the hot dogs. If it's not just a little burnt, then it's not right, coming off the grill. But like I said, as I got older and I started, acquiring more knowledge of, my health and my body, the other thing that helped too is when I went to college, my first major was in nursing. So I literally took a year and a half in nursing before I switched to education. So I learned a lot of different things about, the human body and how the human body operates, and I've carried that knowledge with me to this day. And I even now, I'll, research, just to make sure that I, keep that, up to date in my mind, how my body works. I know with me, what I eat and how much I eat is directly tied to my emotions and how I'm feeling. So if I'm feeling anxious or if I'm feeling upset, um, I'm definitely gonna want to eat things that are not healthy for my body. The other thing that I fight against, like I shared previously, I'm also a disabled veteran. So I have a lot of physical limitations. So exercising and things of that nature, they don't get along with me. So there's a lot of things I'm not able to do physically. So I have to be careful, what I put in my mouth. I also have something that's called PCOS. It's PCOS is polycystic ovarian syndrome. So when I was 16 years old, I went for at least a year, at least 6 months. I know where I did not have a cycle. I didn't have a menstrual cycle, and with me being 16, and with my dad being a minister, and me being raised the way I was raised, we believed in no sex before marriage. So just imagine, how my mom felt whenever months went by and I didn't tell her I needed any more, sanitary napkins. So she took me to the doctor, and the doctor told her that I had PCOS, and they gave me they prescribed me some birth control pills. They said that was the only way to bring my cycle back. So in my mind, I'm thinking, I didn't want my cycle to come back because my cycles were always painful and very heavy, to the point where I would have to come home from school sometimes because of my cycle. And I got my cycle whenever we went. I think I was 14. Yeah, I think I was 14 when I got my cycle. So I would have to miss school sometimes, go home and lay down. The only thing that helped my cycle was to take something and lay down. I had to physically just lay down. So once the doctor said that, she was like, "Well, it'll bring your cycle back and it'll help regulate your hormones." My mom was conflicted because, think about it. She's a minister's wife, and she's teaching everyone to wait to marriage. So that was a conflict in her mind. Why am I going to put my 16-year-old daughter, who is not having sex, like why would I put her on birth control pills? So she wouldn't get them. She didn't go get them. She didn't go get it filled, and I was okay with it because I didn't want to have a cycle anyway because they were so painful. Of course, I was 16. I was ignorant, of the facts. So after that, um, she ended up going to get the prescription filled. But then, me being a young adult, a young teenager, I didn't take it like I was supposed to anyway. So my cycle was not regulated at all. So fast forward when I got married to my first husband, and we wanted to have a child. I was okay with not having a cycle. And but we wanted to have a child, so I went back to the doctor. Doctor said the same thing, that I would never have a child on my own. I would have to take hormones. So I started, the hormone therapy. They started me off with hormone therapy in order for us to try to get pregnant. So we were trying. I never got pregnant, so I stopped taking the hormones again. So I went through a pattern of that. Take the hormones, then I would stop taking them. They prescribed me another type of hormone I had to take, and the hormone they gave me is the same hormone they give to people. Metformin. It's called metformin. The same hormone they give to people that have diabetes. So that's when I figured out that basically my PCOS, I don't digest sugars and carbohydrates like normal people do, and I crave sugar and I crave carbohydrates. So just think about that combination. I'm disabled. My body doesn't process things like other people do, but it also craves the things that I can't process like other people do. So in 2017, basically, I had to change my eating habits, and I cut out all pork. I cut out all meat, and that was a personal choice, nothing to do with religion. Because I decided, let me just try it. So I went on a fast in the month of December, the year 2017, and basically, it was almost like I did a reset. My body did a reset, and I ended up losing a lot of weight, and then I ended up getting right after I lost all the weight, and I was enjoying being the size I was, that I was in high school again. A couple months later, it was like I got pregnant with my first child. So of course that was a shock to me because doctor said I would never get pregnant. So I said all that to say, um, I'm a firm believer in the fact that you can change your eating habits. You can change your diet, and your diet is only what you eat every day. There's no such thing like the definition we have of diet is it has been misconstrued. Like I hear a lot of people saying I'm gonna go on a diet. You can't literally go on a diet. Your diet is only what you eat. So if all you eat is junk food, you have a diet of junk food. If all you eat is McDonald's and Burger King, you and Pizza Hut, you have a fast food diet. If all you eat is vegetables and fruits, you have a diet of vegetables and fruits. So that's basically what I did. In 2017, I like reset my whole body, and when I reset everything by controlling what I put in my mouth, I also went on a fast too, and my fast was a little different as well. I did it from sun up to sundown. So if the sun came up at 5:30, I wouldn't eat anything from 5:30 in the morning until like 5:30 at night. But I did drink liquids. I drank plenty of water, and I drank, the flavored water. So I'm saying all this to say, even though food, even though the kitchen is my happy place, we have to make sure that we have a healthy relationship with food. And that is one of the things that I'm working on right now because, after having two children and after, having to go through a lot of different transitions in my life, I'm getting off track when it comes to having a healthy relationship with food. So that is one of the things I'm working on, and I know what I need to do. I need to basically do what I did in 2017. I need to make sure that I have a healthy relationship with food. And if I have a healthy relationship with food, I won't, overindulge. I won't, eat things that I know are not healthy for my body. So although it's difficult, because if you cook a lot and you feed a lot of people, and the fact that I have my two small children, and they like what they like. I don't feed them any meat or any dairy. No dairy and no meat, because I know that that was a hard habit for me to break. And I don't want them to have to fight against any of the addictions that I've had. So right now they don't eat any meat and I don't give them any dairy. I use oat milk with them. I use hemp milk, and I also use coconut milk. Whenever I'm preparing anything for them. And that's how I found out that when you're cooking all those recipes in my cookbook, that's why I substituted out all the whole milk with oat milk, or with coconut milk, or with hemp milk, because you can basically get the same thing done, and sometimes the recipe often it tastes a little bit better when I switched it out for the coconut milk. I use a lot of coconut milk in my recipes in my cookbook. And right now, every time I go to the doctor, every time I take them to the doctor, they are perfectly fine, they're perfectly healthy. um, I also give them cod liver oil, and I give them, of course I give them elderberry. But the whole point that I'm trying to make is we have to have a healthy relationship with food. Food can still be your happy place. The kitchen can still be your happy place as long as you have a healthy relationship with food. As long as we're eating to live and not living to eat. And like I said, I'm working on that. And there are no excuses. Even I could have. I have every reason to not uh, have a healthy relationship with food. But like I said, I'm working on that, and that's part of the self reflection I do every day. I also think about, what did I put in my mouth today? Because what I put in my mouth directly affects my health. So I know a lot of people that say, oh, you shouldn't eat this, you shouldn't eat that. What about this? What about that? I disagree with all of that. What I do is I do what works for me. So you have to do what works for you as well. Because like I said, I've met several people who are allergic to a lot of the different vegetables that I eat. And then so it's like, what are they gonna eat? So if I tell you don't eat this, don't eat that, and then you end up being allergic to what I eat, that's why I tell everybody you have to do what works best for you. I fast the way I fast, so you have to do what works for your body. When I was breastfeeding, I would go on a fast and I would make sure I drank plenty of liquids to make sure I didn't get dehydrated. I know some people when they fast, they don't eat or drink anything for, a period of days. But I know what my limitations are. You know, I know how far my self control goes. So I go from sun up to sundown and I do it for 30 days. And sometimes I do it at the beginning of the month. I'll start like that first week of the month. I'll go on a fast. And that's just, it's just like hitting a reset button. So, like I said, although, food can be a comfort, food can bring you happiness, food can bring you joy. You have to be careful and make sure that you have a healthy relationship with food. And the goal is to be healthy. The goal is not to be like a certain weight or look a certain way, because I've known several people that are smaller on the smaller end and they have high blood pressure, high cholesterol, they have diabetes. Then I know some people that are on the heavier side, they don't have any major health problems. So once again, you have to do what works for you. And always remember that You are smart, you are blessed, you are loved, and you can do anything. Until next time, thanks for listening.